So hello everyone, hello viewers. In this part, I'll be demonstrating the common user management tasks that an administrator does before setting up the system as a server. So in the case of our project, a mail server. So by the way, I am Josh Icalina, and without further ado, let's get this started. So in general, most of the user or host user management tasks are related to security, especially with regards to data access and permission regulation. In this demo, I'll be showing you how to create directories and set these directories as the home directories for each respective users. So I'll also discuss and demonstrate how a group creation is done and also adding users to these groups along with changing the primary group for each of them, changing ownership of directories and restricting these directories will also be tackled in this part. So in addition, common user management tasks of adding or locking or unlocking accounts, aka activation and deactivation of user accounts, as well as setting up expiration periods on user accounts will also be demonstrated. So to put these tasks into context, let me continue to use our example, the XYZ company. In the previous part of this video, XYZ company has two departments. So the marketing and sales departments. Each department has one manager, just a recap, and some team or department members are also added for each department. So I want to add another department in this company, and I want to call this the research and development department or division. So this group also has one lead employee, and I call him the research director. Let me name him Ariel. So also he has companions, his co-researchers, Nancy and Randy. So the first thing I'll do is to create an account for each new user or for each of the researchers. We learned earlier in this tutorial how to do that, so let me add them just quickly as I can. So, just a quick look of what I did in creating new user accounts. Let me see the password file. etc. So here we see I have successfully created the user accounts with all the necessary information for each of them. So Ariel, I created Ariel as the um, Ariel Ang as the research and development director, and Nancy Nang as his co-researcher, and Randy Ru as his as a co-researcher. So now let's get on to the other user management tasks aside from um, user creation. Of course, one of them is, of course, let me clear that first, creating directories for each account. So basically, a directory is a particular type of file in a file system that stores references to other files and directories. So in graphical operating systems like Linux Mint, of course, they are what we know as the folders of the file system. So each user must have a directory called a home directory as they are created. These home directories act as the user's personal workspace where his or her files, other folders, and system settings are stored. So without a home directory, there is no way a user can have a personal there is no way a user can have personal file storage. So how can we create a directory for a user in Linux Mint? It's actually just simple. You just enter into the root account, sudo I, and type the command make dir and mkdir rather space the directory to which um, you want this new directory to be saved. Let's say for example, or the name of the directory rather. So mkdir space the path of the directory, and then the name of the directory. Let's create a directory for Ariel. That's it, and let's just enter that. So we can decide where we want to save this directory. So as I've decided, um, I want this directory to be saved in this folder, the home folder. Yes. So for me to have an easy user management, so we put all user home directory into one place. So to check if the directory is created, let's type and enter the command, actually ls space. Ls is the command. This command lists down a list of files or directories within a directory. So ls space the directory you want to list um, what is in there. So let's type home. In my case, the file system slash home directory. So here we see that the Arial directory is created. We can also check the created directory in the file manager here in the right side of my panel of the screen rather. So by going to we can check them by going to the file system and then click this home folder. So here it is. The directory is created. So we can also create directories here, for example, with root privileges. So we don't have root privilege yet, so we open as root. I'm right clicking on the mouse. Click this open as root, and let's just type the password for the admin. So now we see something like this. It opens a new window for the file manager, and it has a note or a notification, a notice saying elevated privileges. So now we can, as an administrator, we can now create folders here. So we can try to create folder um, for example, um, Nancy, and let's try to check it here in the terminal. So that's how it is done. So let me continue to create these directories for other users. So for other user accounts, so let me just do this quick. So now just a quick check on what I did. So I created a directory with names respective to each user account here. So one for Joyan, one for Ariel, for Cheryl, Joshua, for Leah, Nancy, Randy, and Regine. So however, these directories are not set as a home directory for the user yet. So how do we know that? So as I've said earlier, without the home directory, a user can't have a personal storage for his or her files and folders. So when a user tries to create a file, they were not able to do so because they don't have a directory or a personal workspace for their newly created file. So let's try for that. Let's try to open a new window for our terminal and log in as one of the users. Let's say Joyan, the marketing manager. SSH on-screen keyboard. XYZ company. So, yes, just type yes. So, and password. So, let's try to create a file. Touch file 1, the text. Oh, permission denied. I think automatically it was set password. Let's check on the password file. Joyan. Here. Oh, I see. So, as we created actually the user with the user add command, uh, it also adds an intended path to the home directory, which is this, the same as this. So we didn't intend to create um, Joyan just to know that it is actually set already as the home directory. So if this is something like another one, let's say for example, let's just edit that. Let's change the directory for Joyan, for example. This is how I change the directory. Um, New Joyan. So actually, this is the code for setting um, a home directory to a user. We make sure that these directory as are already created or existing in our file system. But in this case, I am doing something that I'm adding a home directory. I'm setting a home directory for the user Joyan with a directory that doesn't yet exist. Let's say, for example, that. So, okay, we cannot process the command because the user account is being used in another terminal. So let's just close this or log out, and let's try again. It's not working. Let's try to close it instead. So that's it. Let's open again the terminal and log in. Sorry, I have to use this on-screen keyboard because my alt key, I mean my at symbol key is not working on my keyboard. So just bear on me on that. Bear with me on that. Join 123. So we see here, now we have already set a home directory to Joyan, a new home directory, and as we try to log in, it says here that could not chdir. This means change directory to home directory this, because there's no such file or directory for that, um, for this directory. So when we try to check that on the password file, listing the user files of the system or user configuration, we see here that Joyan has changed the path for her directory. So now we cannot create files actually. Let's say for example, new file.txt. It's permission denied. It's because in the first place that this is not the home directory for Joyan, and it says permission denied, but actually it doesn't exist. So how do we change that? So first, of course, let's make sure that directories are created, which we have already done here in our file system. So to do that, again, let's type usermod or if you're outside this root account, let's say for example exit, we can type, if we are in the administrator account, sudo usermod space dash d. This meaning this um, command meaning we are entering the user mode, and we are modifying something like the directory, and the symbol for directory, or the option key for changing directories or manipulating directories is D. So space. Let's assign the home Joyan directory. This Joyan's directory, which is the path is home. We go in the file system, home, then Joyan. Let's type that here in the terminal. Joyan. And space, assign that to the user we intend it to be assigned. So this is the command, sudo usermod dash d slash home slash Joyan space the name of the user, who is Joyan. Let's just enter that, and okay, again we have to close this to process that command. So enter that again, and okay, it's seemingly loading in the background. Again, let's enter. So that was successful. Let's just check with the password etc etc password file. So let's see here. Done. The home directory for Joyan now is set to this directory. So every time Joyan tries to create a file or a directory, it is now created in this directory. So let's try. Let's enter as Joyan. Again, I'm opening my screen keyboard. Let me just copy this so that I can just paste it later when I needed to use it. When I need to use it. So SSH Joyan, type the Joyan password. So now we can now create a file that should be stored in Joyan's directory, which is the directory with her name. Let's try. So to create a file, there are many ways to create a file, and one of these is typing the command touch and then the name of the file. Let's say new file Joyan dot text. Oh, there is a problem here. So although we have already set the directory, the home directory to Joyan, to the user Joyan, we cannot still create or add files within that directory because it says it's permission denied. So how do we do that? So actually, um, as I've said, without the home directory, a user can have personal storage for his or her files and folders. But um, setting the home directory for a user doesn't mean their account owns the directory. And in that case, we need to change the ownership of the directory so that the access is permitted when we try to create or transfer files into that directory. So how do we do that? How do we change the ownership of the directory? Let's just type sudo chown or chown and space the name of the username we wanted to own a directory. Let's say Joyan, and type the directory we want her to own, which is this, and let's just enter that command, and done. Let's see, let's check. Let's check. Now we can create already a file, or let's try a folder. Make directory space new folder. Now we can create files and folders within the directory of Joyan because now she owns already the directory. So how do we check here if who owns the directory for each directory being created? Let's just type or list these directories by typing ls space. Um, Earlier we used this command, but now let's add an option -l. This means that we wanted to display the long format of the files, which includes this actually. Um, it includes the permission of this directory. Um, Here, these numbers here are hard links, which I will not discuss here. This part is the owner, the user owner of the directory, and this is the group owner of the directory. We will learn more about that later. And this is the size of the directory and the reason, the date on the recent modification of this directory, and this is the name of the directory. So far, let's get back. Let's go to the file system and check our directories. These list now the directories we have in our file system for each user. So this is how we see who owns the directories and what group owns the directories. So now let's change the directories. Let me change um, the ownership for each directory respective to the user. So let me do that. That's how it's done. We have now changed the ownership for each user directories with directories we have created. Now user Ariel now owns the Ariel directory, and as well as Cheryl for Cheryl, Joyan for Joyan, Joshua, and the rest. So that's how it's done. So let me add that as a system administrator, among the primary points we need to consider in managing user accounts are security and access control, of course. So without the standard policy or procedure on how data flows and accessed, how data flows and access to this data in an organization happens, issues regarding data privacy and security might arise. So we need to determine and implement security on who will access which and who will access what. In the context of system administration, there are a number of methods we can employ to enhance the security of the system, especially among users. So in Linux Mint, there is a concept called user groups. So this concept covers how permissions are managed, as well as controlling access among multiple users. So groups allow users to share access to files, directories, and system resources without assigning permissions individually, which is somehow impractical. So that means that instead of employing restrictions or permissions on individual user accounts, which I think obviously impractical in large organizations, especially in large size organizations, we implement the concept of user groups. So how is it done in Linux Mint? First, of course, actually, is to determine what groups to be created and how access to data happens between them. So let's just focus first on determining the groups we will create. So using our imaginary company, the of course XYZ company, we can create a group in our Linux Mint system for each department. So let's say marketing group, marketing group for the marketing department, sales group for sales department, and research group for the R&D department. So to add a group, let's just type and enter um, group add space the name of the group. So marketing for the marketing department. So permission denied, cannot lock, etc. Group try again. Again, I forgot to type the sudo command. I was used more on entering into the root account so that I could use without entering the sudo command. So let me just enter into the root account so I would not need to type the sudo again. So again, just type group add space marketing and enter that, and sales, and group add research for research, for the R&D department research. So how do we check that? um, let's check that through this file, which is found in the file system, in the etc directory, and let's look for the group file here. Group, let's wait on it. So here we have created the groups for marketing, sales, and research departments. So now let's add the respective users to each group they belong to. But let me also share that there are three major types of user groups in Linux Mint. So the primary group, the secondary or supplementary group, and the system groups. So the primary group is the default group assigned to a user. When a user creates a file, it belongs to both his or her account and to the primary group assigned to them. So by default, anyone who is also in this group will have access to everything that's in there unless permission is denied. So how do we check if a user is it how do we check what primary group a user belongs to? So let's try the command to do that, to know that, is to display the information about that, is id space the name of the user. Let's try Joyan. So we see here three information: the user ID, which is 1001, and the GID, which is the group ID. This is actually the primary group this user belongs to, and as for now, it belongs to Joyan. So why Joyan? We did not yet assign a primary group to Joyan, to the user Joyan. So by default, as we created the user using user add command, it also creates a group named with the same named with the username, and assign that group as the primary group of the user. So that's how it's done. We can see that in the file we have opened earlier, the group file here. So each user we created, it also created a group with the same name as their username. So generally, it also has the same ID with their user ID. So the next part of the details here is the groups. So this part lists the group where the user currently enjoined. So that's it. So this is called the supplementary group. So the supplementary or secondary group is used for granting additional privileges or access to files and directories created with that group. So basically, the primary group is also under the set of, or within the set of, the supplementary groups. So another type of groups Linux Mint have is the system groups, which are predefined groups for system services. We can check that here in the group folder. I mean the group file. So These are the existing groups in the system, which is found in the etc directory here. And let's just look for um, the name or the file group. So here list the all the groups the system have. So it has, I don't know how many groups are in the system now. So I am in the line 91, the last line in the file. So that's line 91. So I think the system has currently 91 groups, which includes system groups as I've said earlier, like root, daemon, bin, etc. So that's it. Now let me assign each user to their respective groups. So how do we do that? We do that by typing usermod space dash ag space the name of the group we want the user to be added, and space the name of the user or username. So let me just break this down. So user mod is the command to enter the user mode, and this thing is actually the command to add a user to a supplementary group. So for now, let me just add these users to the supplementary group. To add these users to, for example, Joyan. I want to add Joyan to the marketing group as his or her supplementary group, not the primary group. And let me, I'll explain about primary group later. So for now, let's just do this. And if we check that here, so here in the groups list, the group marketing is added to Joyan. So everything that is every file or directory that is created with the marketing group, now Joyan has access depending on the um, defined access for that group. So let me add other users to their respective groups. So I have already added the users to their respective groups, and to check that, let's type and enter the command grep space. Grep is a command for um, looking for specific entries in a file, and within this is the keyword we want to look for, and the directory of the file we want to look into. This should be the group file. So let's check on that. So we see here now that the users Joyan, Cheryl, and Leia is part of the marketing group, as well as oh sorry, um, sales. Joshua and Regine is in the sales group, and also in the research group, Ariel and Nancy and Randy belongs to that group. So we can also check this in the group file itself. Actually, it's the same format with this. Let's open this. Yeah, right here. So now, let me explain further about the primary group and how we can change them. So when a user creates a file, or directory, the system assigns the user as the owner of that file. And along with that, the system also assigns the group owner of the file or directory, which is based on the primary group the user is assigned to. So to show that, let me type ls space dash l. So these are the files within the Joyan folder. Um, Here. So we see here the details about the file. So the permission, the access permission, the this is the owner and the group owner, the user owner and the group owner. So we see here this file is owned only by Joyan. I mean, only by the user Joyan and the group Joyan. So if anyone is in the group Joyan, he or she can access this file. If they are not in the group Joyan, they are not able to access this file. So how do we know if anyone can access this? To show that, let me open another terminal and let's log in as user Leia, for example. Let me copy this. SSH Leia company. Oh, sorry, XYZ company. So let's try to access this file, new file join.txt. How do we do that? Um, let's touch home. So I am now entering also the directory of this file, which is home slash join slash the name of the file, new file join.txt. So it says here permission denied because Leia is not in the group of Joyan. So check that here. Oh, sorry. ID Leia. So here, Leia doesn't belong to the group Joyan. However, if we add Leia, ID Leia. If we add Leia to the group of Joyan, or to the Joyan group, AG Joyan, that's how it's done here. And let's check on that. Now Joyan is added into the Joyan. Leia is added into the Joyan group, and let's try to touch this file if we can do that. Still permission denied. Why? Let's check. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we need to restart. New window. So I'm accessing the user Leia's account, XYZ company Leia123, and let's access touch home slash join slash new file join.txt. We still cannot touch it. Why? It's because, oh, sorry. Oh, so based on the permission given here, we don't have an execute attach command. I mean, attach. Sorry, I've entered a wrong directory path. It should be slash. Oh, see, we cannot touch it. Let's try to edit something in the file. So open it. Let's open it and see what happens here. So let me try echo Leia is here within um, the file, new file Joyan, new file Joyan the text. So we reload the file. So now we are able now to write on the file, because as we see here on we see here, anyone in the group has the read and write um, access. By the way, let me explain these permission parts. I mean, permission format L home. So here is the permission information about the a file or a directory. In this case, a file. Here is a directory. Same with this. So we see here D. D means that this is a directory. And if it's a file, it is just a dash or a minus symbol. The first three values here, RWX, is the user permission. So the user who is the user for this administrator directory is administrator, and so administrator has a read, write, and execute permission. The next part of this permission um, information is the permission for the group. Whoever is in the group has the read and execute um, access or permission, and this is for everyone else other than um, outside from the group or the user himself. So that's just it. So now let's get back on my topic. I mean on what where I am now. Let's get back on my about the primary group. So now, if we see here, we need to add a user to that group so that they're able to access any file or directory within that, which is any file or directory which was created with a group. So it would be impractical to let it stay like it, because we need to add everyone to it is not automatic. So every time we create a file, let's say for example a file from Joyan, it adds this directory, it adds this group, and not everyone is in the group Joyan. What if we want this file to be accessed by whoever is in the marketing group? So in order to do that, we have to change the primary group of the user Joyan, so that we don't need to individually um, do this configuration part. So to do that, let's just use the user mod space dash G. Earlier we used AG because that's for adding a user to a supplementary group. But now to add or to change the primary group of a user, we use dash G and space the group we wanted to assign to a user, and let's say Joyan. So let's check on that. So now the primary group for Joyan is marketing already. So every time the Joyan creates a file, let's say for example here touch new file.txt, it is now with the marketing group. So here it is, new file.joyan. Oh, sorry, there's something wrong here. I need to close this yet so that it refreshes. So I almost panic about that. For that, let me enter as Joyan XYZ company Joyan 123 and LSL. this happens because earlier we didn't restart the the login access. So let's try to create another file. Touch um, new file to that text and list that files. So now the new file we have created, this is now created with the marketing, what do you call this? With the marketing group. So everyone who has access in the marketing group, or everyone who is who is in this group, can access this file. So to do that, let's also add Leia to the marketing group as well as Cheryl. So to continue, I'm also adding Joshua and Regine to sales as their primary group, as well as Ariel, Nancy, and Randy. And let me just do that. So it's done. Let us check if the changing of primary group is successful. Let's check it by one. So earlier we've checked Joyan. Here it is. Now let's check Cheryl. ID Cheryl. So the primary group is changed, and let me follow through. ID Leia. Oh, let's also remove Leia from Joyan group. To do that, let's just type G for group and password for the user. Password file list all the user of the system. Dash D and Leia's username, and then group name. Sorry, and removing user Leia from group Joyan. So let's check on ID Leia. So now this is what we want. So let me follow through other, or checking other users primary group. So ID Joshua, that's right. ID Regine, that's good, that's what I want. ID Ariel, good thing, and ID Nancy, and ID Randy. So that's it. So the next part would be um, setting restrictions for each of these directories. So how do we do that? There are ways we can actually, as I've said earlier, there are many ways we can do such things. So one way is this, by adding them to a group, which we just did, and also we can employ. Let me clear that first. Employ access control list here. But to better demonstrate this, I have listed some restriction policies or directory permissions policies for each directory. So this is what I want. So let me say, for example, to allow managers to read, write, execute in the members directory. So for example, I want the user Joyan to read, write, and execute onto onto Cheryl and Leia's directories. By default, she cannot do that because um, that's where it is by default. But unless they are in the same group, Joyan can do that. But also, I have other restrictions. Um, I want to allow members a read-only access in the manager's directories and others members. So, for example, they're already in the same group, so basically they can access these directories. Joyan can access Cheryl and Leia. Let me open So how do we know if we can access that? If they can access these directories, so simply just cd to these directories. For example, Joyan is entering the directory of Cheryl, home Cheryl. By default, she can. I mean, not by default, but because we have already set the primary groups and added these groups, added these users to the respective groups, they should be able to, join should be able to access this directory. So now she can access it. What if we try, let's just cd back. Oh, sorry. Just type cd, by the way. Let's try to access other directories rather than, or other directories which is outside the marketing group. Let's say Joyan wants to access the directory of Ariel. cd home Ariel. It is still um, doable. Why? Let's see the access here, or the permissions. Read. Oh, they were able to do so because they have a read access, so they can cd to that. So Joyan can cd to Ariel. However, she cannot. I guess she cannot create file in here. Let's try Joyan here. That text. So yes, that's it. Permission denied. But my policy would be like this: allow members a read-only access in the manager's directory and other members. So Leia, as a marketing assistant, should not be able to create files within the Joyan directory because I want her to um, have the access, to have a read-only access. So let's try to touch. Touch command is to create a file. Leia here, that text. Oh wait, let's put that in the Joyan's directory. So that's right, that's good. It's because Leia is not able, I mean, as we see here in this permission, group permission only allows read and execute um, operations. However, we want Leia to read, write, and execute in the members directory. So Leia should be able to um, write something or create something in Leia's directory. Let us try. Let us try. cd home to Leia and touch Joyan here, that text. So we should be able to open the access for the write so that Joyan or the marketing manager is able to create something, create a file or a folder within um, the folders or the directories of the marketing assistants. So we will learn that. But let me share the other permission policy I wanted. I also want to allow managers a read-only access in the directories of other departments, like we did with with this when we accessed Ariel's directory by the account of Joyan. So we were not able to create anything in here because we only have a read and execute access. So also I want to restrict everyone else to access directories of other departments. So aside from allowing managers to have a read-only access in the directories of other departments, I wanted to restrict everyone else to access directories of other departments. That's let me say Leia should not be able to see anything from the sales department or the research department aside from this marketing. She only should be able to see only the files in the marketing department or in the marketing group. So let us try to cd um, Nancy's directory, which is or who is in the research department. Leia is in marketing, so she should not be able to do that. But now she is able. She can actually also see what's in there. So let's try to create a file here, for example. So let me try to create a file folder. Um, Nancy folder 1. So she is able to, as of right now, Leia is able to see what's in this folder. So she sees this Nancy folder. So I wanted to disallow or disable Leia to see anything from others' directories. So how? So simply, for example, with our first permission policy, um, let me just turn off all permissions aside from the user permission. Turn off all directory permissions so that I can be able to um, show you this effectively. So to do that, let me enable. Um, so the command to change file or directory permission is chmod and space, just space. Let me see my notes. So space. Um, the kind of permission we wanted to change. For example, there are three categories of permissions, as I've said earlier, as I've shown earlier: the user permission, the group permission, and the then other permission or permission aside from the user and with the group. So I want to change the group permission. So G. So here it is. If you want to change the user permission, just type U. If you want to change the group permission, G, and O for other permission. So I want to change the group permission and type the plus command if we wanted to allow a permission, or to allow an access, and minus symbol if we don't want to allow an access. So the next thing is to type what access we wanted to allow or disallow. So R for read read access, W for read access, I for write access, and X for execute access. X means that a user can able to enter into that file or folder or program in that directory. So I want to turn off the read and execute and write access to all directories so far. So let's just do that and then space the path of the directory we wanted to disallow access to. So I want to this directories to be disabled for now. So now I have already removed the access or turn off the access for group and others. So let us check that here. So now we see these dash lines already. Also now in this case, in this state, only the users of the um, of these directories have the access permission. So if we try to, for example, let's say access this connection to company is closed. So let's just enter again. Let's check. We wanted let's check if Leia can access others' directories. So cd home Joyan. So permission denied. Cheryl. Permission denied. She cannot even list what's in these directories. Permission denied. Cannot open directory. So I think that's working. So now let's implement our policies. So allow managers to read, write, execute in the members directories. So to do this, allow managers to read, write, execute in the members directories. By the way, I have seen something here. That each of these directories are owned not by the um, group we have added earlier. So I have changed only the user owner of these directories, but not the department or group they should belong to. So before we set the restrictions, let me do first changing the group owner for these for each of these directories. So we have used the chown command. So now earlier we just put the username, but now we also add the um, sorry, that's research, the group name, then directory Arial. So let me just do this so that we will not be able to encounter a problem later, or if there is, not that much. So let me do this. So now I have changed the group owner for each of the directories. So now let's proceed on changing the restrictions. So we want to allow each manager to read, write, and execute in the members' directories. So let's start on the marketing department. So the manager for the marketing department is Joyan. So Joyan should be able to have an access here for Leia's directory and Cheryl's directory. So to do that, let's just change mod space g plus read, write, and execute for home slash Leia and Cheryl. So that's it. So in this case, Joyan is able to to access Leia's directory. Let us check that. Um, let us check that if that is working. So cd to home slash Leia. Good. Cd to home slash Cheryl. Good. Try. Let's try to list so that if it's working. So I think that's working. That's it is unless the system is failing in the background. So let's set up for other departments. So now let's change the access mode or the permissions in the sales department. So the in the sales department, the manager is Joshua. So Joshua should be able to um, read, write, and execute within Regine's directory. So as for now, Joshua cannot do that. Let's just try space XYZ company Joshua 123. So Alice home Regine. So he cannot do that. So let's change the directory permission rwx space regime. Let's try that again. Now he is able to do so. That's working. Now let's proceed on the research department. So Ariel is the director of the research department. So Ariel should be able to read, write, and execute within Randy and Nancy's directories. So to do that, just type this command and then just that. So now, let's check. Now, all managers and directors are able to access the directories of their um, of other members in the respective department. So now the next permission would be to allow members a read-only access in the manager's directories and other members. So in this case, actually, let's say for example, in the marketing department, Leia and Cheryl are not able to read and write and execute within Joyan's directory. So let's try that. We have tried that earlier. So permission is denied, and that's just it. So how do we able to add a read-only access to Joyan's um, directory? So to do that, chmod space group, G for group plus R for read access and the directory for Joyan. So let's check on the list. Joyan's directory has now read access. Let's try that here. cd home Joyan. Oh, it's permission denied because cd is actually an execute command. So to try ls because this is for read command. So now Leia is able to see what's in the folder or what's in the directory, whatever in the directory of um, Joyan. So, but also we want a read-only access to allow members a read-only access in other members. So Leia should not be able to see within Cheryl's folder, and vice versa. Cheryl should not be able to see, to write and execute on Leia's directories. As for now, with the permissions we have, Leia is able to write within Cheryl's directory. Let's try to touch a file or create a file home within Cheryl using Leia's account. Cheryl, Leia is here, that text. So they should not be done. They should not be allowed because we wanted the read-only access for others' directories. So how to do that? There's no way we can do that or change the restrictions with just this command. So actually, Linux also provide the concept of the ACLs, or what we call as the access control list. So how do we do that? Set FACL. So to allow specific restrictions or permissions in between users and directories and files and other things here in the Linux system, we implement an ACL or an access control list. So to do that, we write the command set fa set f acl space m means that we are modifying an ACL or an access control list, and then U for user, and then we want um, we want user Leia to not access Cheryl's directory. So to do that, let's just normally this is the command to allow an access to a directory or file, space the directory. But we don't want Leia to have the read, write, and execute access on Cheryl's directory, but just read. So instead of writing this, we have to write the minus symbol. So minus minus or dash dash, and that's it. Leia should now be able to just read on Cheryl's directory. So let's do that. So now permission is denied. She cannot also cd to this directory. Permission denied, but she can see what's in the directory. Cheryl. Yes, that's it. Also, we want Cheryl to have the same access as Leia to Leia's directory. So to do that, just copy here and set it. Leia. So I think that would work. That will actually work. Now, let's also do the same directories or the same permissions on other departments like sales and research. So we don't want in the sales department actually is already set. We just have to write the ch mode for Regine to have the read only access within Joshua's directory. So group, we just use the group permission plus read plus r directory of Joshua. That's on behalf of Regine. So now Regine is able to read on Joshua's directory. So now the next restriction is to allow managers a read-only access in the directories of other departments. So let's say Joshua is the sales manager. Exit. Oh, sorry, that's closed. Connection is closed, so we enter again. So we want to allow Joshua to have a read-only access in the directories of other departments. For now, he should be able to um, see what's in others, what's in other directories, what's within other directories. So let's try to ls home Joyan. So permission is denied. So how we can do that? We can actually try ch mode. We use the other permission plus read on home Choyan. And let's try that again. So now Joshua is able to see what's in the directory of Joyan. But now exit, let's exit. But now Nancy, who is in the research department, is now able to see Joyan's directory, who is in the marketing department. Let's try to do that. ls home Joyan. So they should not be able, because members of department should not be able to do that. They can only allow to read, see, or see within um, other directories if they are in the same group. So we will should be able to we will imply or employ an ACL here. So we set ACL on let's try the group permission. Group um, we want to disallow marketing department to only read on home area. So let's try Nancy. Also research to Choyan. Let's try that. No, actually should be able to do that. So let me just fix on this and then I'll get back on you. So now, hello, I'm back. So I have already set the permissions I wanted according to the policies we've made. So let me show you how it was done. So now let's check on each permission we have set. So managers should be able to read, write, execute in the members directories. For example, in the marketing department, Joyan is the marketing manager. So she should be able to read what's in the directory. We can use this ls command space. Let's say on Layas, which is part of the marketing department team. He should be able to read, write, and execute in this directory. So nothing is created in Leia's account yet. So let's try to, for example, sample the text. So list. So now that's nice. Also, let's try for Ariel. ls home Nancy. Oh, now Ariel is able to see what's in Nancy's directory. Also Joshua, ls home Regine. Oh, there's nothing there in Regine's directory, so let's just Create for something. Regine new that text sample. So now that's right. That's what we wanted to be done. So how did we do that? So first, to make this permission, we added. Let me just clear this. No. Wait. So now, how I did that is, let's list. So here, so since each manager belongs to a specific group, so we wanted the manager to read, write, and execute in the members directory. So we how we did that is, we added this restriction. We added this um, permission for each of their um, team members or department members. So let's say, for example, we did chmod group plus read wx command to, for example, home slash Leia, for example. So that's how I did that. Actually, I had that list of commands here, here, and here, and here. So that's how I did that. Next permission was, to allow members to read only access in the manager's directory. So they should Regine should not be able to execute or write within Joshua's directory. Let's try to touch Regine the directory first, home dot slash Joshua slash Regine here that text. So that permission is denied because we have disallow that to for each of the members of a department. So how we do that? How did we do that? We just turn off the write and execute permission on each of the managers directory. For example, for Joyan, it was turned off. Now it's dash dash instead of wx. Also for Joshua and also for Ariel. How we did that? Just um, do something like this, or excluding the r. Uh, let me try. chmod um, g minus wx home. Not just like that, something like that. So now Nancy is not able to create a file within his manager's directory, her manager's directory. Ariel, Nancy is here, that text. So permission denied. The next one is to members should only have a read-only access in other members. Let's say, for example, Leia should not be able to touch or create a file or directory within ShareRail's directory. So touch home ShareRail slash Leia file that text. So permission is denied. Also, in this case, this is a specific restriction or permission alteration or access control. So what we did is not use this basic chmod command, but actually we have implied or employed an ACL by doing this here. Let me get back to my commands earlier. Here. So set f ACL dash m Leia here. So I explained it earlier, so I think that's understandable already. So the next permission was to allow managers a read-only access in the directories of other departments. So manager should be able to read other departments directory. So Joshua shall be able to read the files within Joyan's directory. Let's say ls home Joyan. Oh, permission is denied. So, the problem was that just I needed to restart the terminal for Joshua's access. Now I am able to access Ariel's directory because I am allowed to do so. So if by chance at any moment there's something wrong with your access, or some commands are not working, or that um, permission is being denied, maybe although you're so sure that you have entered the right commands, the right configurations about the restrictions, sometimes you just need to restart or close the terminal you're using and then open a new terminal, because maybe that was just a need. Sometimes that terminal needs a restart so that the updates in the background could be run in that new terminal. So now the managers are able to um, have a read-only access in the directories of other departments. So I've tried. Let's see. Let's clear this for a while. So now Joshua is able to see others' directories because he is a manager. Let's say, for example, Joyan. That's it. And even to Ariel. Yes, that's working. And even on other members. Let's say, for example, Cheryl and Nancy. That's also um, that's also similar access with Ariel as the manager. Let's say, for example, um, accessing Joyan's directory, accessing Joshua's directory, accessing Leia's directory, and accessing um, Regine's directory. So that's kind of working already. Home, Joshua, Ariel, and also Nancy and Regine. So we did a great job there. So now, the last restriction policy I have added is that restrict everyone else to access directories of other departments. So Leia should not be able to access anything from the research and sales department, as well as Nancy should not be able to access anything from marketing and sales department, and Regine should not be able to access anything from the marketing and research department. So how do we do that? Let's try to ls home. Anyone from marketing, Nancy, let's say. Oh, that's research. This is for marketing, Leia. So permission is denied for both. And ls anyone from marketing, Leia, and anyone from sales, Joshua. That's right. That's how we want it to be done. And also, on behalf of Leia, let's try to access um, anyone from the sales, Joshua, and anyone from the research department, Randy. So that's it. That's how restriction is done here in Linux Mint. So we did change the restrictions through ch mode and um, ACL. By the way, I made in order to do the third restriction, which is to allow managers to read and only access in the directories of other departments, I added a new group. Actually, I named that group group add. I named that group managers, and I added the managers Joyan, Ariel, and Joshua, and an made an ACL so that everyone who belongs to this group is able to access others' directory because they should be, because they are managers. So this is how I did that here. So this commands is the ACL to allow um, managers to read to have a read-only access on others' directories. This some here are just my testing earlier. So this command is actually to remove an ACL for a directory. So how do we check on the permissions or restrictions on a directory? Let's just type get f ACL and the name of the directory, for example, Joyan. So we can see here the access restriction or the access permissions being employed in this directory. Let's say user has all access, the read, write, and execute access. The group is able to read. Anyone in the group, which is the marketing group, is able to read. By the way, this is the file name, and this is the user owner and the group owner. So anyone in the managers is able to read this directory. And mask is an ACL filter or permission filter in the ACL. This means that this is the maximum permission allowed for um, permission set with ACL, and there's no other permission other than these users. There is no permission being allowed. So that's how it's done. The next part would be activation and deactivation of accounts. So let me clear all this for a while. These two. So, for example, Leia and Nancy's job contracts have ended, and so their accounts must be deactivated or locked so that the users can't access them. So, this is how activation and deactivation of accounts is implemented. So how do we able to activate or deactivate an account? So with our example, we need to lock or deactivate Leia and Nancy's accounts because, let's say for example, their job contracts have already ended. So let me just check on my notes. So how do we lock an account? So first, of course, let's enter into the root account, and then let's type user mod, entering user mode, and dash space dash L. L is for locking accounts, and let's try to lock Leia and Nancy. So for example, let's exit there. For example, Leia tries to access her account without um, informing her manager, although her job contracts have ended. So let's try to do that. So Leia 123. So it says here permission denied. So Leia's account cannot be accessed already because it is locked. Same with Nancy. I hope so. Let's just exit first, and then let's enter. Done. So I think everything's working as we lock an account. So let's say for example, um, why deactivation and not deletion? Why deactivation is important? Why can't we just delete the accounts for Leia and Nancy? That's because what if Leia renews her contract after 3 months of being inactive and her account is activated again? So that's why it is better to just deactivate an account, especially on those users that might get back for a while. So how do we reopen these accounts? So our example here says that Leia renews her account after 3 months. So to do that, let's just type user mod. Sorry. User mod dash u space the name of the user. So let's try to access Leia's account again. So that's it. Now it's working. So simple as that. That's how activation deactivation um, is done here in Linux Mint. So the next thing would be this is the last part of user management task. The last thing is to how to implement a user expiration date. So let's say for example, Randy's job contract in the research and development division is only effective in 3 months. So after that, he should not be able to access his account. So unlike locking and unlocking, which you do manually, setting an expiry date will automatically make a user access disabled in a specific period given in that as we set up or configure an expiration date. So when the user attempts to access his account beyond the set expiration date or expiry date, his access permission will be denied by the system. So in order to unlock or reactivate his account, the user must request the access permission to reset or update the expiry date. So how do we set a an expiration date for Randy's job for Randy's account? So to do that, let's just first check if there is any information about expiration of an account for a user. So let's type ch age dash l and the name of the user or the username. So last password change April 1. Password expires, it never expires. So here are information about expiration of with regards to accessing an account. So account expire, it never expires. So how do we add an expiration to this um, account? So to do that, let's just type ch age. That's change age for obviously, and space dash e for expiration, and the date on how long or until when this account is can be accessible. So let's say um, it has been due already for Randy. Now, let's say his contract for research and development department is already passed last um, March 30, for example. So this is the format for putting or setting the date 30. So first enter the year and then the month separated by a dash or a minus symbol and then the day. And then we apply this to Randy's account. So let's log in as Randy. Exit. Randy. Randy 123. So it says here your account has expired. Please contact your system administrator. So that's how expiration is done. And if we check through this command, we will see information about it, about the expiration period of the. I sorry, that should not be changed. It's change. Here, na we see the information update. So, so let's say Randy renews his contract for another 3 months. So how do we do that? Let's just remove the expiration date we have set. How to do that? To remove an expiration date, let's just type this without the date, and instead of writing the date, let's put 1. So I think Randy now is able to access his account. Randy 123. Yes, that's it. And we want this account to be open or accessible within 3 months again, as Randy renews his account or his contract. So to do that, let's say after 3 months we are April 1, May, June. Let's say July 1. So 2025 dash July 7, then 1. Let's check the information about it. L. So this account expires on July 1, 2025. So beyond this date, um, Randy should not be able to access his account. So I think that's it for my part about the I'm sorry, about um, the user management tasks. So now let us continue with setting up our server as a mail server. So this is the essence of this video actually, to set up Linux Mint as a mail server. So how do we do that? Let me just clear this for a while. So how do we set up uh, Linux Mint as a mail server. Of course, the first thing we do here is actually install the necessary packages or necessary programs that we need to install, that we need to set, that we need in setting up the mail server. First thing we do is actually to update the necessary packages and upgrade the necessary packages we need for this installation. To do that, let's just type APT. APT stands for Advanced Package Tool. It's a synchronizer for the local package index so that we can make sure that everything in the package or the binaries, the programs within the system is updated and synchronized as they could be there could be some releases or updates in these programs. So we just do the app update, and also we can apt upgrade after the app update. So earlier we have done this in the installation part. um, so it takes a lot of time to wait when we run an apt update and apt upgrade. So let's just proceed on the installation proper actually. So as an administrator, you have the power, you have the choice to decide. You have it's up to you. It's up in your decision if you want to update and upgrade the local package index, but that should be done. That's the suggestive the suggestion for most of us system administrator. But for the sake of this demo, I would not do that part already. So let's just proceed on installing the necessary mail server components in Linux Mint. First thing is apt space install, and then we first install the postfix component or postfix package. So postfix is a program. It is a program to use so that the mail server is able to send or transfer email to the recipients. So it is a mail transport agent used to route and deliver emails on Unix OS like Linux Mint. So postfix is responsible for handling mails. And of course, the next thing we have to install is the dovecot. I don't know what's the right term, I don't know what's the right pronunciation for this, but you see that there. So dovecot core and dovecot imapd. imapd um, imap means internet message access protocol. Dovecot dash imapd. So dovecot is responsible also for handling emails so that, what do you call this? Let me check on my notes. So designed for security basically, and speed and ease of use. So it works alongside with postfix and other MTAs to handle email retrievals for users. So it handles how emails are being received in our system or in our server. So as a mail server, it should be able to send mails to the recipients and of course handle incoming mails. So that's how it's done. And then we also want to install the mailutils package. Mailutils. So this provides command line tools for testing, of course. Since we are just installing this server in local setup, so we need to test it later in our terminal with mailutils package. So space dash y just to add this so that during the installation any prompt that comes along would just be answered yes, so that the installation won't be interrupted. So yeah, mailutils collection. It's a collection of mail-related utilities for sending, receiving, and managing emails during our testing later. So can install this um, one by one, but I choose to install this um, together. So let's just press enter and wait for the installation to be done. Now the installation is done. Now let's proceed on um, do some configuration on each of the packages we have installed. So let's configure postfix. So sudo, no need to sudo dpkg dash reconfigure postfix. So dpkg can reconfigure is the command for Debian package manager for reconfiguration process. So we configure this package, the postfix. Let's just enter that, and this opens package configuration, the postfix configuration view. So please select the mail server configuration type that best meets your needs. So in our case, we just set it this as a local. So the only delivered mail is the mail for local users. There is no network. So let's just press OK. And then the mail name is the domain name used to qualify all mail addresses without a domain name. This includes mail to and from root. Please do not make your machine send out mail from unless root has told you to. This name will also be used by other programs. It should be the single fully qualified domain name. That's in our context, let's just continue with our example, the XYZ company, and press OK. So mail for the postmaster. Root and other system accounts need to be redirected to the user account of the actual system administrator. So it needs to be the administrator here. Let's just type the username for the administrator here. So that every email that that the root every email that the system receives will not be um, redirected, will not be directly sent to the root account, but actually to the administrator account. So that's it. Let's just press OK after that and just leave this by default. Let's press OK, and for synchronous updates on all mail queue, let's just say yes. And local networks, let's leave that as default. Okay, mailbox, that's just 0. Local address extension character, leave the default. And then internet protocols to use, all IPv6 and IPv4. Let's press OK and wait for the reconfiguration to be done. Running new aliases. So now the reconfiguration is um, already set. The next thing we do is to reconfigure dovecot, of course. Before that, let's restart this postfix program by entering systemctl space restart and postfix. So to ensure that the postfix really works effectively during our testing later. So let's restart that. Sorry. And then after that, let's now proceed in configuring the dovecot. So we have to open the file if we need some reconfiguration, or we want to add some configuration settings for dovecot. we just have to go into the file etc dovecot dovecot.conf. So if you want something to change in this file, just do so. But as for me, I'll just leave this as default. So also we have to edit another file which is found in atc slash dovecot slash conf dot d slash 10auth dot conf. So it is related to authentication process. This file is related to authentication process, and we want this disable plain text auth to be no. So let's just save that, Control X, and press Y and enter. So to check if the our configuration was saved, let's just open the file again, and yes, it is. Then Control X for exit. Next thing is to same with postfix, we have to restart dovecot because we have done some reconfiguration on that. So restart dovecot, and let's wait for it for a while, and that's it. So now let's test if our mail server is working. So to do that, I have created some scenarios here with regards to our example, the XYZ company. So the first one, the first test is marketing manager sends request of sales report from the sales manager. So marketing manager, that's Joyan, sends request of sales report from the sales manager. So how do we do that? We send an email. To do that, let's type mail space subject, the subject of the mail. For example, um, sales report request, and then to the recipient of this mail, which who is sales manager, that's Joshua. Oh, sorry, Joshua at XYZ company. Let's just enter it. We don't want to CC this to other recipient. Just enter, and then here we type the message. So hi Josh, I am requesting for the sales report in the last month. To send, let's enter. Let's press Control D. Oh, that's not work. Just enter and then Control D. So, how do we know if the email was sent? Let's check on Joshua. Let's type mail to see the mailbox or the 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 email we received from anyone in the local network. So here we see an email, a one message, one new message from Joyan Ortega, who is the marketing manager of the marketing department. So we see here the date of the email being sent and the characters in that email and the subject line. So to open that, let's just enter the number of the email, which is this one, and then press enter. To have a better view, let's so received. Again, let's enter one. Why? Something wrong. So I'll be just closing this terminal, and let me open it here in another terminal. Joshua. Let's increase the size of the window. Let's type mail. Let's type the the number of the mail in the list. This is one. So see here, I am requesting for the sales report in the last one. So we see here the mail we have received from Joyan. So it's working. It's working. So let's reply and let's see if we can receive the reply. Reply, enter. Yes, no problem. I'll be sending it in another email. So Control D to send the email, and just type Q to quit the mail view. So let's check here on Joyan's mail if she received anything. So there it is. So let's open the email, but first let's increase the size of the window. Open the email, and yes, no problem. I'll be sending it. So let's reply. Thank you, and send that, and quit. So let's see here. Unopened. So here comes the unopened email. Add a new message. So 2, let's type 2, and we receive thank you. Now that's it. The It's working. Now let's go to the next test. R&D director, who is Ariel, sends report to marketing manager to be used for optimization. So now R&D director Ariel. Let's log in as Ariel. Ariel Ang. Ariel 123. And clear the window. So there is another way to so that we can send a new email. Let's type echo the message within double quotes. Hi Joyan, I am sending reports. Let's say research reports that would be helpful in optimizing our strategy. Marketing strategy. So to mail this, let's separate this with the pipe symbol, and then type mail, and then space dash s to put the subject, research reports for marketing strategy optimization. And the recipient, let's enter the recipient of the email, who is Joyan. Let's enter the @ symbol at XYZ company, and then let's press enter. So let's check here on Joyan's mailbox. So we see here a new email from Ariel Ang. Let's open that by entering the number of the email, which is 2. So yes, Ariel. Oh, sorry, we have to first type the reply to this email. And yes, Ariel, my pleasure. Thank you. So send that, Control D, and quit. And let's see here on Ariel's view if he received the email reply. So yeah, he received the email reply. So another example or another testing. Marketing manager sends instructions to marketing team members. So let's say Joyan sends now mail messages or mails to Cheryl and Leia. So how do we do that? So mail space subject marketing strategy. Let's say for example strategy optimization instructions. How do we send a multiple how do we send email to multiple recipients? To do that, let's just type the email recipients separated by space. Let's say for example, let's copy this. We'll use that later. So first to Leia at xyz.com. XYZ company, and then space, and type another email recipient, and enter. Let's leave the CC blank, and the message: Hi team, we'll meet later to plan for our marketing strategy. Thank you. And press Ctrl D to send the message. So let's check on Leia's and Cheryl's side. So exit. Let's open as Leia. And sorry, Leia 123 and mail. So we see the message here. Yes. So we see if Leia replied yes. Let's enter as Cheryl also to see if she received the email. So let's type password of Cheryl, and then let's go to the mail. Yes. Press 1 to open Joyan's message, and then let's reply yes. Got that. This is noted. This is noted. And Control D to send the mail, and then quit on the mailbox. Let's see here if they've received the email. So yeah, that's how it is. So that's how we set up a mail server in Linux Mint, and as we have tested, the mail server is working in our local system or network. So that's just my part, and thank you for listening. The next part would be the resource management, which will be discussed by Joyan Ortega. Thank you.